All right, thank you for having me. I'm Ryan X. Charles, founder and CEO of MoneyButton. So today we're going to be introducing some new features that are designed for businesses. The new features we have are automatic money button and invisible money button. So automatic money button is a way for applications to basically be granted permission from the user to spend money on the user's behalf. Invisible money button is same idea, except there's no button at all, so that you can fully customize the appearance of the button inside the application. I'm going to explain this in a minute in a bit more detail, but I want to start with a bit of background. So the internet as it works right now is not secure. One way of framing the problem is just look at the giant internet companies, particularly Google and Facebook, that are these vast repositories of information that are really owned by their users, but de facto owned by Google and Facebook. So we have a de facto centralized architecture of the internet with repositories and communication and things like this happening inside of giant centralized businesses. These companies de facto own your data. Their terms of services say that they don't, but in effect they do, of course, because they have all of it and they monetize the data. So they earn money by basically selling your data. Now, they don't sell it exactly, but what they do is they provide as a service advertisers to deliver targeted ads to the end user, and they monetize your data. The users earn nothing. Sometimes you see ads that you're interested in, but very often you see ads that you aren't interested in. So you're effectively paying with your time and your attention for these services. Everything sounds like it's free, but it's not really free. You're paying it with your mind. Furthermore, it's really, really insecure because these centralized data stores are a security disaster waiting to happen. So a nation state hypothetically could hack Google and compromise nearly everyone's data. So it's a giant security problem the way that this operates right now. Bitcoin is very different. Bitcoin allows us to have a system where there is no central party that, there's no central point of failure. So we have here on the left is a graphic that shows how the miner network operates. So there are a number of different miners that all connect to each other, and if any one of them goes down, the network continues to function. If any one of them gets hacked, the network continues to function. If any one of them is compromised, your data is still secure. So the miners are not a central point of failure. They are centralized in a way, though, which is that it's sort of a central place to go where you can broadcast and query transactions. On the right side, we have the network of users. Users engage with each other just like they do in the real world. This is the real peer-to-peer nature of Bitcoin, is that it's a peer-to-peer economy. So in the Bitcoin system, users own their data. It's really de facto owned by you if we architect all this stuff correctly at the layer on top of Bitcoin. You earn money if you choose to sell your data because, well, shouldn't it work that way? Shouldn't you opt in to seeing ads because they're actually willing to pay you to see ads? Businesses can earn money by building real products and services for their end users. Finally, it's intrinsically vastly more secure. There is no one central place where all of the data is. So there's less risk of a giant security disaster happening. Okay, so MoneyButton is a wallet based on Bitcoin, and I want to explain a bit of sort of the background about what this is exactly. So first of all, there are many different applications of Bitcoin. So I'm trying to keep this very sort of high level and abstract. You can dig down into the details, though. Supply chain is an example where you want to put not just the money, but the sort of the tracking of things on the blockchain. You need a giant global public database for that. Social media, of course, we have apps like Twitch, demonstrating what social media is like on the blockchain. Messaging, Baymail is an example of that. Finance, of course, we have payments, and we have things like trading and things like this on the blockchain. Databases using the blockchain to store business data, user data, and things like this. Gaming, either in terms of video games or gaming in the gaming industry, and many other applications. So every single one of these applications needs a wallet. So what MoneyButton is an easy-to-use and integrate wallet solution for businesses. You can get going by just copying and pasting MoneyButton into your application. So we really value making the user experience as good as possible, both for the developer and for the end user. So for the developer working at a company, we allow you to get going as quickly as possible. So MoneyButton is not just a button. We provide access to many of the advanced features of Bitcoin. You can use MoneyButton to accept payments. You can do user-to-user payments inside of an application. You can do payments to multiple recipients. We have things like identity and single sign-on so that the user can sign into an application with their Money Button identity. We support writing data to the blockchain, including writing encrypted data. The data can be encrypted by the user and then decrypted only by that user. We support contracts in Bitcoin, that is to say script. We also have sort of a form of virtual fiat currency support, which is where the end user sees prices denominated in their local fiat currency, and we have support for various accounting features as well. So it's a sophisticated solution that spans many of the different properties that you want, either for the business or for the end user in a wallet. So a way of thinking about this is that we are logically integrating every feature related to a wallet into one package for end users and for businesses. So that includes payments, contracts, encryption, signatures, currency conversion, data storage, identity. One way to think about this for people familiar with Stripe, we're sort of like the Stripe of Bitcoin in the sense that Stripe is an API for payments. We're like an API for not just payments, but all the stuff that you can leverage Bitcoin for. So we currently have about 150 active businesses using Money Button. They span all the things I mentioned before, so social media, again, Twitch is a good example of this, messaging, Baymail, finance, there's an app called TrueDex that allows you to trade with Money Button. Databases, this includes things like Bitstagram and Bitgo.media. Gaming, Pure Game is a good example of this. There are other games using Money Button. So we have about 150 of them right now, and we're growing pretty quickly. So the number of button swipes is growing very quickly as well. So this is sort of from an end user perspective. We've had more than 1.3 million button swipes and more than $11 million in payments volume. So the average payment size is somewhere in the range of, I believe it's in the number of, sort of small number of dollars. I can't remember the figure right now. But it's somewhere in the dollar range for like $1 to $10 for the average payment size. Many of these are extremely small payments though. So many of them are genuine micropayments. We have lots of payments occurring that are less than 1 cent. And of course, there are a few payments that are very high. There's no upper bound for the payment size there. Okay, so today I'm happy to introduce some new features for businesses that we are launching. Those are, first and foremost, we have automatic Money Button. So automatic Money Button is basically an API that businesses that use Money Button can use to automatically swipe the button on the user's behalf. So for people that have ever tried to, for instance, upload data to the blockchain, you may have noticed that you have to swipe Money Button a lot. That's because you might create many, many transactions. So uploading data is an example of something where what we really want is the ability to have the application swipe the button many times in a row so that the user doesn't have to manually do it, that what you're doing is broadcasting as many transactions as you need to upload data to the blockchain. You can also imagine things like, again, I'll use Twitch as an example, where you can press the little heart icon. That's their API that maybe they will be using to allow the user to like something and create a transaction automatically. You can have all sorts of gaming and features like this. But I want to move on to the next feature, which is a highly related feature we call Invisible Money Button. Automatic Money Button is all about swiping the button automatically. Invisible Money Button is about allowing full customizability of the appearance. So in this case, the button itself goes away. So this is where, same thing as automatic Money Button, but the application doesn't render the button at all, and they can choose the appearance, such as a heart icon in social media like Twitch, but it can be used for anything at all. So this is it's sort of a common request for Money Button. Basically, any business, thank you. Thank you very much. So this is a common request. Basically, we deeply value user experience with Money Button. There's a reason why the button is the way it is. It's secure that way, and it leads to a user-friendly experience. But many businesses do need to customize all these things and have full control over the button for their users. So these are exactly the types of features that we are creating to empower real businesses to use a wallet infrastructure solution that works for them. So that's Invisible Money Button. So I want to conclude with a bit of a big picture here. To understand what I regard as the scope of the opportunity for those of us creating businesses in Bitcoin. So these are some very rough figures, but bear with me for a minute when I go through this. So world advertising revenue is about $500 billion per year. The world GDP is about 80 trillion right now. Google and Facebook revenue is about 200 billion, so that's a fairly large fraction of the entire world advertising revenue. So we can compute a rough estimate here of sort of the size of the world economy to the size of Google and Facebook. I think this is a way to think about the size of the opportunity in Bitcoin. So the internet today being dominated primarily by advertising revenue is a tiny, tiny fraction of what the ultimate size of the economy will be. So that ratio is about 160 times. I think this gives you a vision for those of us that are creating businesses. We can create businesses that are bigger than Google and Facebook and many more of them. That's the scope of the opportunity. There are entirely new markets that are being created right now that do not currently exist that will add up to be vastly larger than the advertisement-based internet that we have today. So that's it. So I think we should look at this like a really, really big opportunity, not just on par with, but greater than the internet. So we can create the future largest companies in the world based on Bitcoin. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Hannah Jackson for CoinGeek.com, and I'm here with Ryan X. Charles from MoneyButton. Now, you have unveiled 2 new features exclusively today, so tell me a bit more about those.
Sure. So today we unveiled automatic money button and invisible money button. So automatic money button is a way for an application that uses money button to be granted permission from the user to spend the user's money on their behalf. So the reason why this matters is a lot of the things that you want to do with Bitcoin, you don't want to necessarily have the user actually swiping money button by hand every single time, but you want to use the features of money button. So one of the examples is if you upload data, you often want to create many, many different transactions in a row. So for file upload applications, they'll be able to get permission from the user basically to upload a file. So you can upload large data this way by creating many transactions. Invisible money button is the same thing as automatic money button. The application is granted permission from the user to swipe the button on the user's behalf, but actually there's no button at all. The button is invisible. So what that enables is completely customized user experience in the application. So for social media applications such as Twitch, which is an example application that uses money button, you'll be able to press the heart icon in Twitch and it will just create a transaction automatically. So that way the user experience of money button can blend in seamlessly into whatever the containing application is.
Very exciting. And it's been a very exciting conference so far. And it's a really exciting year in terms of BSV, the upgrade in Genesis. It's already happened. So where does money button all fit in with that and going forward?
Sure. Well, I mean, our company was founded originally going back to 2015. So we've seen a lot of stuff happen in the cryptocurrency industry. Where we go back is we were the first company that decided to use BSV exclusively. So we go back to the very beginning of this blockchain. It's been absolutely astounding. I mean, when we launched Money Button originally, it was completely unlike anything else that existed. So to see the adoption go from zero to watch the entire ecosystem develop. We have lots of businesses using Money Button right now. I can also see a lot of the other companies in the industry, just things like our business partners and things like just the users and things like this grow a lot. So we go back to the beginning. It's been really fascinating to watch this ecosystem develop.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it so much. And looking into the future, this year, 2021, what do you want to see in the world of Bitcoin?
Well, what I want to see is more real businesses come in. I mean, what this is about is solving real problems for real people. This was never supposed to be a niche thing for niche users. This is about global adoption. This is about ultimately creating a foundation for the entire world economy. So what I want to see is continued growth. I want to see new businesses come in. I want to see us solving user experience problems so that the end user is able to use Bitcoin without even knowing that that's what it is. That's what I want to see in 2020 and 2021.